When I wrote my book, Barefoot in Paris, I thought I really need to include a souffle recipe, but I was a little scared. So I made a blue cheese souffle. And you know what? It came out perfectly every time I made it. So now I'm not scared anymore. I'm making a souffle au larron, which is a dessert souffle, and it's really good. I'll show you how I make it. I'm gonna start by preparing the souffle dish. It's 6.5 inches across and 3.5 inches high. And I'm buttering it with about half a tablespoon of butter. Just make sure you use room temperature butter so you can spread it really easily. Okay, I do it with a paper towel. And then I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons of sugar. So the sugar just flavors the side of the souffle, which is nice, and the butter and sugar together, I think, help it rise. There are all these theories about how to make sure the souffle rises. Like one of them is that you should butter the dish up and down. As long as it's completely covered, it doesn't matter at all. Okay, and then I'm gonna tap out the excess. Okay, so that's all done, ready to go. I've got sugar all over the place. It's part of making a souffle. Okay, the next thing is I'm gonna make the base. I've melted 2 tablespoons of butter. I'm gonna whisk in 3 tablespoons of flour. I'm just gonna cook it for about a minute, just until that floury taste is cooked away. Every souffle really starts with a base like this, and then you add egg whites to lighten it, flavorings. It can be sweet, it can be savory, and they're all dramatic and delicious. Okay, next I'm gonna put in 3/4 of a cup of milk. And I'm gonna add it slowly, so I want it to be incorporated. Make sure you don't end up with any lumps. The inspiration for this souffle actually came from Julia Child's, the classic Mastering the Art of French Cooking. And who knows more about French cooking than Julia? So that's the milk. Just gonna cook this for a minute. Turn up the heat just a little bit. And because it's a sweet souffle, I'm gonna put in 1/4 cup of sugar. One of the things that's really important when you're baking, and cooking actually, is measuring accurately. Really fill the cup and level it off with a knife, with your finger, but just make sure you use a metal cup for dry ingredients. Okay, this is perfect now. It's actually just like a white sauce, which is exactly what it is. Kind of like making mac and cheese, but better. Okay, I'm gonna turn the heat off. And now I'm gonna take 4 egg yolks. Just make sure the heat's off and just whisk them in. Just whisk them right into the sauce. And now I'm gonna flavor it. So the first thing I'm gonna put in is orange liqueur. I need 2 tablespoons. Love the smell of that. It's gonna be so good in the souffle. It's amazing how much depth of flavor this gives it. 2 teaspoons of pure vanilla extract. And then because I wanna really enhance the orange flavor, I'm gonna put some orange zest in it. Then 1/2 teaspoon of grated orange zest. It's amazing how much flavor that adds. You wanna use fresh oranges when you're zesting them, because if they're not firm, it's really hard to zest. Okay, that's about 1/2 teaspoon. That should do it. Half a teaspoon of orange zest. Just whisk that in. Okay, that's the base. Next is the egg whites. So I have 5 egg whites, and they absolutely have to be at room temperature. In fact, if the bowl is too cold, it's not good. You want everything at room temperature. Just gonna put it on low. 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar, which gives it a little body. Pinch of salt. And then the last thing is 1/4 cup of sugar. But I'm gonna wait for a minute until the egg whites are really kind of frothy, till they start to beat and have a little volume. And then I'm gonna slowly add the sugar. And what you're gonna see is they're gonna get really shiny and firm. If they're too soft, it won't rise properly. If it's too firm, the souffle is gonna be dry. So you want them firm but still soft, which is exactly what this is. So you can see that they're firm but still soft. Okay. So now I'm gonna take about 1/4 of them and whisk them right into the base just to lighten it a little bit. And the rest I'm gonna fold in with a plastic spatula. Okay, that's lightened. The key here is you wanna make sure you don't deflate the egg whites. So I'm gonna pour the whole thing right in, and I'm gonna show you how to fold it in. Okay, so folding is you take the spatula and go right down in the middle and turn the entire thing over, right down to the bottom. So it's kind of like a rolling motion where the bottom gets folded over the top, just like that. And you want to try and do it as quickly as you can, but as carefully as you can. You don't want to deflate the egg whites. You want this to be a really dramatic souffle. So I would say this looks pretty good. And just make sure you've gotten all the base mixed into the egg whites. So remember, this dish has butter and sugar. You want to leave about an inch or an inch and a quarter space at the top of the dish. Otherwise, when it goes in the oven, what can happen is it can flow over the top, and you won't have a perfect souffle. So that's just about what we have here. So now what I want to do is I want the souffle to rise straight up. And the way to do that is take your finger and just run it along the inside of the dish, about an inch down, without pressing against the sugar and butter, because you don't want to take it off. Okay, so this is going to go into the oven, 400 degrees, and then immediately I'm going to turn it down to 375 and bake it for 30 to 35 minutes, and we're going to have a gorgeous souffle. And no peeking. A gorgeous puffed up souffle. Gonna give it a little dusting of sugar on the top. Who wouldn't be impressed with that? But I just have to taste it and make sure it's great. I love this. How beautiful is that? It's absolutely perfect. Not scary in the least. I used to think making caramel was so scary. I'd burn the sugar. You'd probably have to throw out the pan. I'm gonna show you how I make my salted caramel nuts. And you know what? They're not scary at all. First, I'm gonna pour 1/4 cup of water into a saute pan. Add 1½ cups of sugar. Stir it with a fork until all the sugar is moistened. Then I'll cook that over medium-high heat until the sugar melts. Now from this point on, don't stir the caramel, just swirl the pan and keep it going for 5 to 10 minutes until it turns a warm golden brown. I'll swirl the pan occasionally to ensure that the caramel cooks evenly and doesn't burn. And just a quick word of caution, it's really hot. Okay, this is looking good. So I'll take it off the heat, add 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Don't be shocked, it'll bubble up violently and harden for a minute. But just swirl the pan and it will all come together. So that's the caramel. And now I'm gonna add the roasted nuts. What I did was I roasted 1 cup each of pecans, cashews, walnuts, and almonds. 350 degrees for 7 minutes, just until they become fragrant. You can really sort of smell them. Really brings out the flavor in the nuts. And now I'm just gonna toss it all together. The caramel's really hot, but you want the nuts completely coated in caramel. At this point, you want to work really fast, because if the caramel cools, you won't be able to spread them out on the sheet pan. It's important for the nuts to cool before you put them in, because you know when hot nuts have that kind of like mealy texture, you want them to be really crisp. Okay, 2 teaspoons of salt. This is kosher salt. If you're gonna make salted caramel nuts, it has to have salt in it. I'm just gonna toss it all together. Toss them really carefully. This smells so good. Okay, now I'm gonna put it on a sheet pan lined with parchment paper. Just dump the whole thing out. You have to do this really fast before it cools. Oh, just like get all the caramel from the pan. You don't want to leave any behind. And now, take 2 forks, just like 2 dinner forks, and just start separating. Just separate them so that it's all in one layer. And when it cools, it's gonna be like bark. You can just break it in pieces. I actually made this once as an experiment and brought it to somebody's house. They were having a dinner party, and I just left a container of them right on the table to see if anybody even noticed them. One person came by, they opened the container, they took a bite, and they walked out of the room, and then they came back and opened it again and took another bite. And they told somebody about it, and then they came in. And all evening, people were coming into the kitchen, opening the container and taking a bite until they were all gone. And I thought, that's a good recipe. This needs to cool completely. It's about 3 hours. Okay, one more salt to put on. Fleur de sel, 1 teaspoon. It's really just a very light kind of finishing salt, a little briny. Just give it that extra thing. And now I'm just gonna let that cool, and I have one all ready. Look how great it is.